We just want, it's not that many, we can just slide his chairs out. Move those chairs now. I just want you to be comfortable. Dude, I'm coming to see you all around too, you'll notice all the white shirts. What's the new regulations? It's a new, oh, you're what? I mean, I can't hold my nib in my badge?
No,
As long as it's white name with mine. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that guy in that. Right. That guy in Stanford, he had a jumpsuit on. Jumpsuit with the badge on. That's a real thing. Really.
Good evening, everybody.
Been a security guard. No, that's what he looked like. Yeah, he was legit. And I said to him, I talked to the lieutenant later. And I was like, what do you guys do? I said, he's like, what it is, right? And I was like, yeah, but people don't know that. So they're not gonna give you the deference that you're supposed to get. You broke down all the lessons you supposed to have. Right. And then it went to the field. Before you know it, it'll be like short. Yeah, everybody's. But it looks like we got one. All they got is a shirt and they wear anything for pants. Yeah. You ready? Oh, you ready? You ready? Now listen. Yeah. Where do you play? So good. We're at TV with him. He knew.
You look really handsome with that. I'm saying that he looks really handsome.
You're live, sir.
He looks more handsome without that.
Thank you.
The Public Safety Committee of New Haven Board of Orders will meet in person at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, July 18, 2023, in the Board of Order chambers located 165 Church Street, New Haven, second floor to hear and act upon the following. Order of the Board of Orders of the City of New Haven, authorizing the mayor of the City of New Haven to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Justice Office Community Oriented Policing Service, the 2023 Impending Crisis Intervention Team grant in amount not to exceed $400,000 over the 2 years to expand New Haven Crisis Intervention Team to include embedding mental and behavioral health services within the police department to better respond to individuals in crisis and to accept such funds if offered and to execute all documents and contracts as necessary. Order of the Board of Orders of the City of New Haven, authorizing the Department of Police Services to accept a donation from the puppies behind bars of a comfort service dog and training, and a donation from the comrade to pay for food, supplies, veterinarian bills, and also to provide needed items for the life of the dog. The comfort service dog will be used for officers and employees, wellness needs, police department events, and for community incidents and outreach activities. Authorizing an amendment to appraisal ordinance number of the Board of Orders approving fiscal year 2023-24 budget, seeking approval for the reclassification of general funds position title within the New Haven Fire Service Department for firefighters EMT to firefighters pandemic laterally. My apologies for that. Paramedic laterally. Excuse me for that. Those items are on file and available for public inspection for the Office of Legislative Services, 165 Church Street, New Haven, per Honorable Brian Wingate, Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. If you need any assessor-related accommodations, please contact 203-946-7651 or 203-946-8582. In accordance with the City of New Haven COVID-19, masks are optional. Public may send comments to public testimony newhaven.gov. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. Before I want to ask the committee to introduce themselves, starting from my right.
Tom Pickton, Alder Ward 28.
Captain Singh, Ward 5. Gerald Antunes, Ward 12.
Brian Wingate, 129.
Honda Smith, Ward 30.
Thank you for coming out again. The first item, we're going to get a leave to withdraw. And with that being said, we're going to move into item 2, which is the donations for the properties. Oh, please. Whoever wants to speak to the item. Come on. Please. Please. How you doing, Chief?
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Stuck in this chair, sir.
Carl Jacobson, 15 West Early Road, New Haven, Connecticut.
Gina Rosquero, 2 Front Street, New Haven, Connecticut.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, so first, we apologize, we withdrew the other one. If it sounded like something like Compass, because it probably was close to something like Compass, so we had looked at that grant a while ago, before Compass was up and running, to kind of look at putting social workers with officers, maybe something in the future, but we want to withdraw it this time and see how Compass goes and everything else. So
Thank you.
the second item, we do have one active comfort dog that is working very well. Just one quick story. Finn was used recently in a special victims unit case. We had a 4-year-old who the family suspected was being abused by a family member. The 4-year-old and the parents were hesitant to talk to the police. One of our SVU detectives is trained with the comfort dog, so they picked up the comfort dog from the other officer, brought the comfort dog to the family, and everybody in the family, after meeting the dog and talking for a while, ended up agreeing to come down to the station and give a statement. So that's pretty powerful, and that's just what the comfort dog has been up and running in a couple of weeks. So there's many stories like that already. So we'd like to expand the program because it is no cost to us, to the city. For Cameron has been a wonderful organization that is based on the death of a young man from overdose. And they have contributed lots of stuff to us, but this is something that they're really close to. So they're willing to pay for both of these dogs. So we're just asking you that you let us accept those funds.
Any questions? No questions? We was hoping to see the dog tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We was
Well,
hoping to go see the dog.
We need comfort too.
yes, sir. All right,
I'm serious. Now, we had this on the docket, Chief, last month. We exclusively
Well,
had this night for the dog.
I apologize. Next time this committee meets, I will bring the dog.
No, it's not on overtime.
Yeah, I'll bring the dog, so it won't be out there. And the dog gets treats paid for by 4 cameras. So.
No, thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief, I need to see you.
Please, so the next item is fires. Please come on. Item number 3. Firefighters. How you doing, Chiefs?
Well, and yourselves?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Before we start, I want to give congratulations to our new chief in the city of New Haven for the fire department. Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here and excited to work with everybody to keep moving the fire department forward.
Okay, so the first order of business when you come, because you're going to be coming here many times, you got to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Justin Bielecki, 952 Grand Avenue.
John Austin, 952 Grand Avenue.
Thank you so much. I'm not gonna have you repeat it again.
If I can though, I just wanted to share a story about the comfort dogs. Many of you know, 2 years ago, we lost one of our firefighters. While I was going through the interview process during the investigation, really shortly after we had lost Ricardo, I know the arson personnel and investigators, they have arson dogs that are trained. So the lead investigator had his dog in our conference room. It was a very emotional time. And as the chief, I was trying to hold it together while I was giving them my answers. And I know that dog. I've seen that dog on scene before. While I was sitting there at the table with my hands in my lap, the dog got up, came under the table, and started licking my hands and put her head on my lap. And I lost it. That was exactly what I needed. There were no words. And all I could say was Cora, because that's her name. And Paul Maycook, it's his dog. He says, "Where is she?" I said, "She's under the table." He said, "I'll get her." I said, "No, leave her alone." And his team stopped the interview and allowed me that time to compose myself. So much so that I'm actually in the application process to get my own dog for my own personal comfort, because I recognize how it works. And I'm so proud of our department and the support we got from the CAO's office to understand that mental health is an issue for our first responders. I just wanted to share that.
No, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. We need that.
Yeah, that'll put it into context.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
It's something about it that works. What we're here before you to request, nationwide, there's a shortage of paramedics. I was in South Carolina last year to give a keynote address, and their chief chuckled when they said I was from New Haven, because he had sent the team up to the University of New Haven to do recruitment for paramedics because they were short. And we recognize that that's a national shortage. The one thing that we found is that in our system, firefighters through the contract, after 10 years, they can drop their medical control. So after 10 years, they don't have to be a firefighter. The other thing is when they're promoted out of the firefighter rank to either lieutenant, captain, or battalion chief, they are no longer in a position to do that work. And then the last way that we lose medics is when they retire. So we do have some that will carry their credentials 20, 25 years, and then they retire. We've hit what they would call the sweet spot. There's a shortage. We haven't been able to hire for almost 2 years with the pandemic and the like. So it's time for us to hire. We've got the vacancies. We now have members that have gone beyond that 10-year mark who have now dropped their credentials. But we recently had testing in our department where paramedics, they test well. Chief Bilecki's a paramedic. He's tested well. And so we anticipate with this next wave of promotions, and as we move past this next contract year, we are in dire needs of paramedics. Now let's talk about the mental health impact. We've had to order paramedics in, and we've had to order them to hold over because of a shortage of paramedics. And my concern, as you know, with the number of calls that we go on, their mental health, prior to the last 2 months, we've been able to have a town meeting where I've been able to talk to our paramedics and just let them open up and talk about, the stresses that they're under and what we're trying to do to fix it. And one of the things that we came up with, which is done nationally, just like in the police department, is a lateral transfer. And what the lateral transfer does is allows us to hire people who already have the credentials, nationally registered. They already have Fire 1 and Fire 2 certifications, so we don't have to train them in the academy. They already have awareness and operations of hazmat. So really all they need to know is how we do things in New Haven. They need to know our rules, our regulations, our policies. They need to know our equipment because they may be coming from an outside system. There's going to be a nationwide search, but it is so critical, rather than in our budget process to come to the office and say, we need a new position. We already have the job description. We don't have to change that. It doesn't have to be negotiated with the union. We've met with the labor director, the CAO's office, HR, and our paramedics. Everyone is on board for this. So now the next process is to get your blessing, get the alders to give us a reclassification of firefighter EMT to firefighter paramedic lateral. The training is the only thing that changes because they already have the certification. So instead of doing a 16 to 20 week, I'm hitting my buffer. Academy, thank you, I hit my buffer. They call it buffering when I hit a dead spot. I'm sorry, I'll be 63 this year. When we
Hold
hit
on a second, I just want to acknowledge our older Troy students with us.
Good evening, Alder Street. So they'll be going to a shorter academy, roughly about 2 months. That gives us a grace period to get them in, get them trained before we lose anybody else. Because when this list comes out, I'm already through the grapevine, I know that we're gonna be losing some paramedics.
Wow.
Did I miss anything, ma'am or chief? Anything you'd like to add?
I can just tell you that coming from my last position as deputy chief, which was in charge of the hiring and the staffing portions on a day-to-day basis, we are at a critical point for paramedics. We are very short. At some points we'd be ordering 2 or 3 ALS units or paramedic units we'd have to order. And there's no question that the injury rates and illness rates are a little bit higher for our medics, and that's strictly due to the immense call volume that they're doing on a daily basis. And we are just about at the same point it was when I was a paramedic, actively in the street about 15 years ago. And that's at a very critical point to continue this vital service to the city.
And recently they've had a few very rough calls. We had an infant death. We've had small children in recent days. And that takes a toll not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually. And so we understand that. We're down to roughly 15 to 16 paramedics now. Our comfort zone is normally 40. So we have 3 paramedic units. So we try to put 2 paramedics there a day, which would be 6. And then we have 4 divisions or shifts. So that would be our 24, that would be our sweet spot, that would be ideal. We're now having to limit 1 paramedic to that piece and have going back to the old days of having an EMT driver and a paramedic. And so that paramedic for that shift has to go on every one of those calls. So it is not only, I don't even talk about the economic impact of the overtime. I'm more concerned about the physical and mental well-being and the quality of service that we provide our citizens. So that's why we've made this request. It was well thought out. It's been managed well by our CAO, dealing with the different entities, both in labor, HR, and labor director. I know you see that wheel spin.
No, all parties came together.
Yes.
Okay. Once again, any questions from the committee? Welcome back.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Question, when we're talking about lateral, you're talking about moving those that are in the EMT status over to be able to apply for paramedic to go through the academy for the 2 months? Or are you talking about moving someone from another department to move over to the department that is already a paramedic?
So it's someone from outside of our department. These are new hires. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. Sorry, I'm glad you mentioned that. We've been talking to CIMS, which is the Center for Emergency Medical Services. That's the Yale training arm. They have an accelerated program. Now it's down to 1 year at $11,000 to train a paramedic. It used to be close to almost $25,000 in almost 2 years.
It was up to 2. It was about 2 years plus with ride time and everything. It could take some slightly longer than that.
So they have an accelerated program. So one of the things we did was offer that opportunity to our members. Anyone who's an EMT now, if they're interested, we only got 3, but I think we need to flesh it out and market it a little better. That any of our members that want to be EMTs will support them. They'll go, they'll enroll in the class. They won't be charged until the end of the class. If they're not successful, they pay for it. If they're successful, then it's been a practice of the department to reimburse the folks anyway. So we do have a lateral ladder, if you will, of some of our members internally, but this would really be focused on new hires.
Thank you. I do understand that it's not just New Haven that's going through this problem, but this is a national problem where paramedics and EMTs are hard to find. No one wants to do the job anymore is what I'm hearing, from Sims and from around the city, the state, actually. So I understand the very importance of having these paramedics because burnouts is really crazy. When you have someone that is burnt out, they're no good for the person that you're dealing with, nor no good for themselves. You do need that help. I do remember when the department was up to maybe about 42 with paramedics in which that was happening. It has been a tremendous drop over the years. So I can say I will support this because it's definitely needed. And just to let you know, I got 10 EMTs that will be coming out shortly, that they want to be firefighters also.
Well, I can tell you the RFP was already put out through the CAO's office for us to start the hiring process and testing. We're waiting to hear back from the consultant. We'll be scheduling orientation within the next month or two. So we'll be sending you information on where they can come in and get orientation and pre-training.
Awesome, thank you.
Like we've done in the past.
You good on?
I'm all, thank you.
Thank you. Marvin,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you.
I get it. Thank you, Chief, for the opportunity to ride with you, paramedic. It was enlightening, but sometimes brought back some bad memories. And I can see the stress that they go through. Couple questions for you. First of all, if we do laterals, that'll actually save us some money in not having to send or pay for training.
That is correct.
That's number
We'll
one.
teach them in our own academy.
So you mentioned the Fire 1, Fire 2 position. Is that our requirement or state requirement?
That is a state and national standard. So the state of Connecticut requires you to have Fire 1 and Fire 2 from an accredited academy, hazmat awareness and hazmat operations. It is also the industry standard NFPA 1001 for professional firefighters.
This may sound like a crazy question to you guys. How close is EMT and paramedic as far as training and that gap to move from EMT to paramedic?
EMT, as I remember, was 160 hours, 5 weeks.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, we're doing the classes.
Medic is several thousand hours at this point. Yeah, between ride time, the didactic in classroom time, in-hospital time, and the skill level between the two. I mean, EMTs are clearly the backbone, right? That is a phrase, BOS before ALS, right? Basic life support before advanced life support. But paramedics can intubate people, put tubes down people's throat, do interosseous injections, straight in drilling, basically an IV into the bone. There's a wide range of medications, cardiac monitoring, so that the gap between the skill level and the assessment level is pretty wide between EMT and paramedic.
And the reason why we run BLS, basic life support, they are the backbone. They do the stop the bleeding, start the breathing, treat for shock, CPR, and defibrillation. They work under their training through the state. ALS is a paramedic. They work specifically under the license of a medical emergency doctor. They are the eyes, ears, and hands of that medical professional. So they literally are doing interdiction at a very high level with the application of medications and advanced medical care. So that's why it takes longer and it's a higher skill level.
My last question, will there be a pay differential?
Yes. So previously, to attract paramedics in 2018, 2019, when we negotiated the last contract, we put in a proviso that if a paramedic came in and got medical control, they would either go to the third step or second step. The second step, third range, but a higher pay level to attract them. One thing that's interesting, the New Haven Fire Department has a wonderful reputation, as you know. There are several entities that want to be a part of this department because of the work that we do. So there's the professional recognition and acumen, there's the additional pay. But a lot of departments have paramedics who don't fight fires. We're finding out there are paramedics who really want to fight fires. So with those three components, we believe we can put together an attractive marketing package. And we're going to push this out nationwide. We've already had some folks say, hey, are you really going to do it? The alders approved? yeah, we're really gonna do it, and we're gonna move quickly on it. So there is some interest already that we've got through the grapevine. You know, telephone, telegraph, firefighter is better than Wi-Fi.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you both for your questions.
That wasn't a bad question. I was gonna ask that question too.
And it was a good question.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All in favor?
Do the medical schools have any role to play here in terms of your pipeline and your recruitment and et cetera?
No, not to the degree of what the career path is. Mostly it is, a lot of entities will run their own programs. Private corporations will run their own internal programs. The one that we are attached to through medical direction is through Yale Hospital, and that is the Center for, it used to be Sponsor Hospital. It's now the Center for Emergency Medical Service Excellence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I just have a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a comment. This is really important because everyone is putting the higher dollars up for paramedics. So you're in for a big race to get a paramedic. And so you have to make it good for them because it's very challenging. Every city in Connecticut is looking for it. We just had people that come to our center looking for EMTs and offering them right off the bat $85,000. And they're not even finished with classes, but they were promised jobs and handed. So we have a serious race before us to try to get these paramedics in. So it's important to make the best so we can get the best.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that when I ask for some more money. Wrong meeting. Too soon?
Never too soon. It's planting the seed. But if there's no more questions on this particular item, I will say thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will ask, are there anyone from the public who would like to speak to any of these items? Are there anyone from the public going for the second time like to speak to these items? Is there anyone from the public for the third time like to speak to any of these items tonight? Seeing none, I will take a motion.
I make a motion that we close this portion of the meeting.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No discussion on that. I would like to make a motion on, I will have someone take a motion on the first item for us leave to withdraw.
Make a motion on item number 1, leave to withdraw.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Discussion? I'm sorry.
Jeremy.
Item number 2.
I make a motion that we approve item number 2 for the service dog, comfort dogs.
Second.
Discussion? Discussion?
Mr. Chair, I think this is a wonderful idea, having this money as a grant and not costing the city any dollars. And as we heard testimony that these dogs provide real comfort. So I'm in favor of this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I am as well. I think it's important to have the service dogs. It's not about cost all the time with me. It's about the need, and we need this. So I most definitely am supportive of that. It's a blessing that we have someone take care of the dog, or the life of the dog. That's it. That's even extra. But the wellness part of it is what we need, what we're going through, with these crises in the world today. So all
All those in favor of moving this item?
Aye.
Any opposed? Extension, the ayes have it. Now we at the third item, which, I take a motion for somebody to move.
I make motion that we move the third item in regards to fire department.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in favor, for this lateral, move for paramedics for the simple fact that, the city dynamics have changed tremendously. And, we need more paramedics to be able to put IVs into intubate people, on the scene, versus, where they can't and they have to basically just stabilize them. And paramedics are people that save lives. And I make a motion that we, well, I made a motion, but I'm in support of this because we need more of this to happen so that we can, continue to function as a complete city to save lives, too many lives that we have lost already, here, and it's to save lives.
Alderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the chief testified, we are short. We are running 15 to 16, and we should be around 40. And hope this lateral move, I commend the chief and the COO to the thought process going into this, and hopefully this would encourage and, have some new interest in this department. And hopefully with this lateral, we're able to attract some paramedics. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of this motion. I'm in total favor of what it stands for. I mean, New Haven Fire, their leadership and CEO, along with our police department, always have great leadership and really like the cutting edge. Like this lateral move is smart, right? Like it's really smart. And, we can't beat the 85, but we can have some good piece of the city of New Haven and all the wonderful things that we have to offer. So hopefully whoever comes to be a paramedic want to be and share that love that you have, that I know that you have for the city of New Haven. So I'm most definitely in favor of this lateral move as well. So all's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Extensions? The ayes have it. I take another motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Now have a good night. Thank you.
I gotta talk to the chief.